Have you ever wondered why some people can walk into a room without saying a word, without doing anything, and immediately draw every gaze toward them? And why there are others who, despite trying hard to engage, despite making every effort to connect, somehow fade into the crowd forgotten, soon after brief conversations? So, what truly draws people in? Is it beauty? Is it wealth? Is it sharp intelligence in every word spoken? The modern world makes us believe that to be attractive, we must have something to show: a luxury car, a perfect body, an impressive resume. And yet, strangely, there are people who possess none of these obvious traits. They are simple, even ordinary, yet they naturally become the center of attention. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you are speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." Perhaps true magnetism doesn't come from words or appearance, but from something much deeper, from your very presence. There is a curious paradox. The more we try to be liked, the further we drift from natural attraction. But why is that? And how can we step through that invisible door? Let's continue this journey together to explore this paradox in the next part. We grow up in a world that constantly reminds us, if you want to be liked, you must speak more eloquently, smile more charmingly, and perform better to catch people's attention. And so, we dive into an invisible race, striving bit by bit to become more attractive in the eyes of others. But ironically, the harder we try to be liked, the more we lose our natural magnetism. Because when you act with the purpose of being loved, you're silently sending out a message that you are not enough, that you need someone else to fill what feels missing. People are not drawn to lack. People are drawn to wholeness. Someone who is constantly seeking validation often reveals cracks: anxiety, forced effort, restless eyes, an unnatural smile. There are those who always talk about their accomplishments, who are always trying to impress, but somehow you don't feel like staying near them for long. They don't realize that in their constant striving, they've lost something precious: the ease of simply being themselves, not the version they've carefully painted. Meanwhile, those who seem not to care whether they are liked or not, these are the people we naturally feel drawn to. They wear no masks, they don't chase attention, they have nothing to prove. And it is precisely that ease that becomes an undeniable attraction. There's a saying that rings simply and profoundly true: the less you care, the more attractive you become. When you let go of the need to be loved, you begin to radiate a free, effortless energy. When you stop chasing others' approval, you naturally become magnetic. But letting go doesn't mean being indifferent or cold. Letting go means returning to inner peace. So how do we reach that state? How can we become naturally attractive without forcing ourselves? The answer is just ahead. Take just 3 seconds to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the upcoming videos. The most attractive thing about a person is not their appearance, nor the sharpness of their words. It's the calm, steady energy they carry. A peaceful mind that is the true source of genuine magnetism. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Nothing can bring you peace but yourself." Attraction isn't something you wear on the outside. It's a vibration you emit when your mind is at peace. A person with a calm, grounded mind isn't easily shaken by judgment or praise. They don't need to prove who they are. They know who they are, and that is what makes them truly remarkable. Inner peace is like a clear flowing stream. When others come near, they simply feel at ease. When you walk into a room with that kind of presence, you don't need to try to impress. You are the impression. But how do you reach such a state of mind? How do you transform your inner energy so that what you radiate is no longer anxiety, but stability? It all begins with understanding the frequency you're currently sending out and how the universe is quietly responding to you. There are things that don't need words, yet we can still feel them. There are people whose presence simply feels light and comforting. And there are others, though they may smile, who still give off a sense of strain and unease. It all comes down to the personal energy they radiate. Every person is a frequency. Every thought, every emotion, every internal state is like a wave of vibration quietly moving through the space around us, often without our awareness. Have you ever noticed? Those who constantly complain, those who always see life through frustration, no matter how hard they try to appear, cheerful still leave others feeling drained after spending time with them. On the other hand, those who genuinely live with positivity without needing grand words naturally attract good relationships, fitting opportunities, and the effortless warmth of those around them. The universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to the frequency you are truly sending out. You can pretend to be happy, but you can't deceive the energy you radiate. When you are anxious, you emit the frequency of lack, and you will attract experiences that reinforce that sense of insufficiency. When you are at peace, you emit the frequency of wholeness, and the right people, the right moments, and good things will naturally find their way to you. There's a simple but profound truth. You attract what you are, not what you want. Attraction doesn't come from what you desire. It comes from who you are. If you radiate forced effort, you will attract avoidance. If you radiate sincerity, you will draw in hearts that naturally resonate with yours. But in order to radiate that pure frequency, you must first know who you truly are. You need to return to yourself, to let go of the roles, the layers, the masks. You cannot project authentic energy if you are still living as a copy of someone else. So, how do you live in alignment with your true self? The answer lies in the timeless magnetism of authenticity. When you truly know who you are, we often try to become the ideal version of ourselves in the eyes of others. We adjust the way we speak, the way we walk. We carefully shape every smile, every gesture, hoping that someone will acknowledge us. But the more we do this, the further we drift from who we really are, and we forget that our most authentic self is actually the most attractive thing about us. There are people who may not be beautiful by society's standards, who may not be particularly charming in conversation, who may not hold any notable status, but they possess a natural magnetism that makes everyone want to be around them. Why? Because they live in alignment with their true nature. They don't play a role. They don't try to become someone else. Socrates once said, "Know thyself." When you know who you are, you no longer need to please everyone. You no longer need to rush to reshape yourself to fit others' expectations. You understand what your core values are, what truly makes you feel alive. Authenticity doesn't need decoration. It's like a quiet, steady flame, not loud, but warm enough to fill an entire room. When you live as your true self, the right people will naturally find their way to you. There's also an art that allows you to deeply connect with others without saying much, the art of listening, which we'll explore next. In today's world, everyone wants to be heard, to be understood. But how many truly know how to listen? How many have the patience to pause, stay silent, and allow others the space to open up? Strangely, people aren't drawn to those who talk the most. They are drawn to those who know how to listen. Listening is an art, but more than that, it is a priceless gift we can offer to others. There's a quote I deeply resonate with. To be interesting, be interested. When you listen to others with genuine care, you give them the precious feeling of being understood, of being seen, of having their deepest selves acknowledged. And when someone feels truly listened to, they will remember you. So how can you develop a natural, effortless ability to listen? How can your heart be open enough to genuinely care without forcing it? The answer is coming up next. Amid the fast-paced rhythm of modern life, we gradually forget that nature is the greatest teacher of natural magnetism. A forest doesn't need to advertise itself, yet people are drawn to it. A still lake doesn't need to compete for attention, yet it quietly calms our hearts. Perhaps it's because nature is always simply itself. Trees don't strive to be special. Flowers don't try to be admired. The sea doesn't roar to prove its beauty. and precisely because of that nature is endlessly purely and sustainably attractive. Emerson once said, "Adopt the pace of nature." Her secret is patience. When you live close to nature, when you spend time among the trees beneath the vast sky, you begin to relearn how to listen, how to be patient, how to let go of the rush inside you. You will feel a deep quietness gradually settle into your mind, and from there, your natural energy begins to shine. People who live closely with nature, those near the sea, the mountains, the rivers, often carry a very special kind of magnetism. They don't speak much. They don't need to impress yet. Being around them always feels comforting. It's because they've learned the slow, gentle rhythm of nature. When you connect with nature, you don't just refresh your mind, you also recalibrate your energy frequency. You no longer need to push yourself to be interesting because that natural allure will simply return to you. But how do you keep that rhythm when you return to the noise of everyday life? How do you maintain that natural magnetism amid the busyness of work, relationships, and invisible pressures? The answer is just ahead. The greatest paradox in life is this: the harder you try to be attractive, the more you fade into the background. And on the other hand, when you let go of the desire to be noticed and calmly settle into being yourself, you naturally draw others in. True magnetism cannot be trained like a skill. It doesn't come from communication strategies, from the way you walk, the way you speak, or even from your appearance. It comes from your inner state, a mind that has let go of the need to force anything. You become attractive when you stop chasing. You become magnetic when you no longer need to prove your worth. You become captivating when you live as your true self. Natural, authentic, simple. Like the trees, like the flowers, like the quiet stream that simply flows. Those with the most lasting magnetism are often the ones who have mastered the art of letting go. They don't strive to impress. They don't seek to win people's affection. They simply are. And that is enough. Remember, the most magnetic people are not chasing. They are simply being. If you find the video helpful, please hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the upcoming videos, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below.